Hello, it's me again. So I just got back from jogging this morning. This recording is I record this video on Monday morning before I got to work because I still got some time, a chance to record a video to make a video before I go to work, and because there will be a lot of things going on in my job in the following week, perhaps until the end of this month. So I think this is the opportunity while I got the chance to make a video. I'm making a video right now. So this video is going to be a commentary video. I'm just commenting about what happened in the real world because today, not so long ago, there's this huge um, discussion in social media about Ghibli and about AI, and that there's this what is it quote from Miyazaki, saying that AI is like some sort of an abomination of humanity because people are making these Ghibli style art using AI. What took years and years, decades of development, trial and error, and craftsmanship, now people can do that in a split second and for free. And that is, according to lots of artists, including Miyazaki himself, is like some sort of like an insult to the actual artists, actual creators. I myself, not a good artist. I'm not a good painter. I'm not a good artist, but I did make lots of paintings, lots of pictures when in my spare time. I do enjoy making pictures. Oh, it's up there, very high, but this is some of my works. Um, so just to let you know where I am, uh, where's my site, because when I see that, I don't really have a problem with AI generated images because I do use that today. Lots of people say, oh, because you're not an artist, you do not know how it feels to do that. Well, I created this. This is a picture book that I created for my creative writing class like a decade ago, and I made this, hand drawn with oil paintings, with pencil and those markers manually. And it was in 2016, but even back then, lots of my classmates, they were using computers to enhance the color, to enhance this and that. But I was very proud to announce at that time that this was created fully using hand-drawn technique and no computer retouch at all. The only computer um, retouch is perhaps the text. The text uses computer, of course, but all of the images inside, I made them using, well, hand-drawn, using my pencil, my markers, my oil painting. So this is my site. I am on the side of the artist, of course. Take a look at that. Not really good, not necessarily a good drawing. I'm not, a brilliant artist. I'm just like to draw pictures like these ones. But I do understand the frustration of people who really make a living from, making some sort of art and then being replaced by AI in a split second. That now everybody can achieve that. I wrote several books, novels, that I published them through online platforms, and initially, I created the front cover myself, the paintings of the front cover myself. It's the image of a dragon. But not so many people tuning in, and I did find comment on that novel saying that the novel's great, but the cover is not. So I was like, fine. Then I created an image using, AI generated image of a red dragon that is fantastic, marvelous, and the platform featured that novel on their official YouTube channel. That is just insane. So at that time, I was like, I'm finally obsolete. I'm finally obsolete. I will never be as good as those AI images. I mean, my style of painting, as you can see in that book, My Holiday with Christopher and His Dragon, is very loose. It's very sketchy. It's like I was so inspired by. Um, at one point, at a certain degree, I was inspired by Sleeping Beauty, Ivan Earl's paintings, but overall it's like Peter Rabbit or like Winnie the Pooh. It's very, very loose, or Tyra Swan, very, very loose and very, very, not really detailed, but you got the picture. But I was like, finally, not finally, this is the time that I am obsolete. So I have mixed feeling about this actually. I'm not really against using AI, but also I can understand the frustration of people when they do that, because today, as much as I am frustrated, I'm just I just lost all of the willing, all of the its desire to create more paintings. I used to create paintings on canvas on my spare time. It's like watching Bob Ross, and then it's like there's no mistake. It's only like a happy accident. I mean, that's very soothing, and I really enjoy doing that. And I am very, very old-fashioned and not tech savvy. So I will make a sketch on my paper reel with pen and pencil, and I will scan that image to my computer, then use the computer to color the image to those things. Very, very traditional way of making images and translate the image from the real world to the digital world. But yeah, I lost all of the desire to do that again. I'm not even making paintings in my spare time today. When I got bored in the past, usually I would just listen to music and then paint. But today I lost all of the desire to do that because of AI, because everybody can now do that. So I just do not want to do that. But then the news about this spread to other parts of the internet community, that is the animation community. People in the animation community, when they look at the Ghibli pictures and look at the 2D animation, the hand-drawn, they realize the craftsmanship in the world of 2D animation. They said that studios today killed the art of 2D animation. Studios do not want to make 2D animations anymore. They killed traditional animation, 2D animation, and lots of people jump into conclusion that that is the case. That is the truth, that 2D animation was dead. It was killed by the studios. But I do not have a concrete data about this one, about whether or not studio kill um, 2D animation, but I live through the age of transition between the popularity of 2D animation and 3D animation that's happening in the early 2000s. So I'm just going to give my opinion based on my own experience, observing the real world, the reality of the world of animation. So I disagree with the notion that the studio killed 2D animation. I absolutely disagree with that notion. My conclusion is that we, or you, the people, the audience, you are the ones who killed 2D animation. If we look back in the early 2000s, Disney and DreamWorks Animation Studios, two of the largest studios, and perhaps with Fox Animation Studios, they were making lots of beautiful 2D animated movies. For example, here in my collection that I got, let's just take a look from Disney. We got Atlantis. It's in the early 2000s, and then we got The Emperor's New Groove, also in the early 2000s, and we got Lilo and Stitch. We got Treasure Planet also in the early 2000s. I think Treasure Planet was 2002. This is basically my childhood. And also DreamWorks, they were making great animated movies in the early 2000s. Do I have the movies here? I think I put the DreamWorks there. We got Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. We got Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. And we also got, where is that animation? A very, very funny one. The Road to El Dorado, which is a great, great animated movie. So studios were still making those movies even after they released the 3D animation. Toy Story in 1995, and then Toy Story 2, Bugs Life, and then DreamWorks finally released Shrek in 2001. But they were still making 2D animation. There's this one particular scene in, not scene, this documentary in Spirit, Stalin of the Cimarron. Spirit was released in 2002 and Shrek was released in 2001. So Shrek came out first. Even with the popularity of Shrek, they will still continue making this, finishing the Spirit Stalin of the Cimarron. And in the documentary of this DVD, if you've got the DVD, you can go to the bonus feature, The Animation of Spirit, a fascinating look at the integration of hand-drawn 2D and computer animation. The documentary featured Jeffrey Katzenberg, which is one of the co-founder of DreamWorks Animation. If you look at the DreamWorks logo, there's SKG. The K is Katzenberg. Jeffrey Katzenberg is the co-founder of the DreamWorks Animation, and he worked for a very, very long time in Disney Animation Studios as well. He said that even though he acknowledged the popularity of 3D animation at the time, because Shrek came out in 2001, bear in mind, he acknowledged the popularity of 3D animation and that it's the future, but at the time, he said that there is something that 3D cannot replicate. He said not yet, at least at the time, is the emotion that an artist has with the art, with the sketches, the drawing. When he makes the painting himself, draw the images by hand, there's a certain of connection, there's a certain emotion that cannot be replicated by 3D animation. And he called this Spirit is the traditional and the digital animation that is going to be very, very exciting and is going to stay there for a very, very long time. In 2002, he mentioned that. So even though they acknowledged the popularity of 3D animation, they still got hope in 2D animation. They did not abandon 2D animation simply because 3D is much more popular and was on the rise at the time. And to prove that, after the release of Spirit and it was not very successful, they were still releasing this movie, which is one of my favorite animation of all time, that is Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. When we talk about underrated movies, really, really underrated movies, I think Spirit is one, and also Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas is another one that's very, very underrated. The animation in this movie is just gorgeous, just beautiful. This one was released in 2003. And the release of Sinbad is very significant for me when I observe the release of Sinbad, because Sinbad was released alongside Disney's Brother Bear. Disney was still releasing Brother Bear in 2003, even though all of their 2D animation starting from the early 2000s, Atlantis, and then Emperor's New Groove, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, they're not very successful, but they still got faith, of course, in 2D animation. The same sentiment that Jeffrey Katzenberg has for 2D animation is that there's still something that cannot be replicated by 3D, in the world of 2D animation. They still released Brother Bear in 2003. And 2003 is a very significant year for the world of cinema, for the world of, in general, but for the world of animation specifically, because I personally think and view 2003 as the year of battle between 2D and 3D animation. This is the year that the future was determined, 2003. The studios releasing great 2D animations like Sinbad and great 2D animations like Brother Bear. But then another studio little studio called Pixar Animation Studios, they also released this movie in 2003. I bet you know the title of the movie. It is Finding Nemo. So most people chose Finding Nemo over Brother Bear and Sinbad. I'm not saying that Finding Nemo is a bad movie. It is a brilliant movie and it deserves all the praise, all the success that it has. But it was the battle between 3D and 2D. This 3D animation single-handedly combat these two 2D animation and win the battle in a massive way. This is the turning point. The 2D animation was defeated in 2003 by Finding Nemo. 2003 became very important because that is the turning point. I see the turning point in 2003 in the behavior of studios in the following years. After they released all of their best 2D animations and couldn't compete with 3D animation, if we go back to the early 2000s, of course, with Shrek, El Dorado couldn't compete with Shrek. And the same thing with Disney movies, they couldn't compete with Monsters Incorporated. Again, I'm not saying that those films are bad. Those films are great and deserve all the praise, but that's just what happened. It's still in the form of battle between 2D and 3D animation. It's not 1995 anymore when Pocahontas and Toy Story made nearly not really big of a difference in terms of earning between Pocahontas and Toy Story. But in the 2000s, people were just so eager to watch anything 3D at the time. I remember that people would watch anything 3D regardless of the quality. It just happened that the samples that we got were very, very good quality movies. Monsters Incorporated is just amazing. Shrek, of course, is a brilliant movie. And then we have Finding Nemo is a great movie. But at the time, a lot of people, I remember, will just watch 3D because it was new. It was rarely about the story at the time. I must admit, it was rarely about the story, but about the spectacle. That 3D could offer something, something exciting, something new. And the 2003 was it, the tip of it's the peak of the battle. After in 2002, Jeffrey Katzenberg said that he's still very optimistic for 2D animation, and in 2003, to prove that, in 2003 he released Sinbad, but Sinbad was a failure. The same thing happened with Disney when they released Brother Bear. It was also quote unquote a failure. DreamWorks finally stopped making more 2D animation in the following years, but then Disney was still releasing another one in 2004. So 2003, I say that 2003 was the battle, the peak of the battle between 2D and 3D. And 2004 is the true defeat. 2004 marked the eventual defeat of 2D animation, marked by the release of Home on the Range. People would not want to watch Home on the Range when they got Shrek 2. Again, it's not that Shrek 2 is a bad movie. It's an incredible movie. I really love that movie, Shrek 2. But it's just what happened at the time. The fact is, 2D animation is not popular anymore, and people would just go to watch 3D animation. Not because it's a good story at the time. I remember vividly, a lot of people were excited to watch 3D because it was 3D. So remember lots of 3D gimmicks in the early 2000s. We got the Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and we got Spike It's 3D. The 3D graphic is not so great, but those things, lots of early 2000 animated movies also created in 3D was just so excited for lots of people. The early Barbie movies, they used CG that, if we look back now, the CG looks so dated, but people did not really care about that. It was 3D and it was great. I imagine if the early Barbie movies, like what I have here, perhaps the first one is this Barbie Nutcracker. This is the first Barbie movie, I think, in 2001, and also this Barbie Rapunzel. They're making this using CG, and the CG looks very, very dated now. I imagine if they made those Barbie movies in 2D animation, they would look a lot better today. And if you remember the lots of knockoff, the cheap knockoff of 3D animated movies by unknown studios in the early 2000s. They're making those copy of Kung Fu Panda, copy of Ants, copy of Cars. The CG looks just awful, but look back in the 90s and the 80s when they were making cheap fairy tale movies, like from Jetlag Studios or from Good Time Studios, those famous fairy tale movies. Also, there's an animated one. There's an anime one called the Sekai no Dowa, which you can check in my channel. They were making those in 2D style, and today you can still view them as a good animation because they're 2D animation. There's no particular differences between the graphic quality between $100 million 2D animation and $2 million or a few $100,000 traditional animation because it's traditional, it's hand-drawn, it's just like that. Perhaps you can see that the frames is not as good, but yeah, you can't really see the shift in technology. But with 3D, you can really see the early 2000s. They look quite dated now, and you can see the transformation, the evolution of Toy Story from the first one to the fourth one. Even just between the third one and the fourth one, there's a huge difference in character, especially in the human character. You can see clearly the difference. But yeah, that is just the reality with 3D animation. Again, I'm not saying that those 3D animation is bad. Those happen to be great ones. But at the time, we must not forget that lots of people did say that they wanted to watch more 3D simply because it's new, simply because it's exciting. It's just the same thing as when people say, I do not want to watch animation because it's for children. I want to watch the live action version. And you probably say that, well, who said that? And yeah, in the online world, people can say that this thing and those things, and in reality, it's a totally different thing. Like what happened in 2019, I mentioned this many times over and over again, that I used to promote to people not to endorse the Disney live action remakes. I stopped in 2019 because Lion King remake got over $1 billion. So online, people say that this is bad. I'm not going to watch the Lion King remake. It's a bad movie. But in reality, people keep watching that movie, and that film made over $1 billion. So the reality is not exactly the same as what happened online. Most YouTubers online out there criticize the Lion King live action remake. That's not even a live action, the remake of Lion King, but the movie still made tons of money. And the same thing with animation. There are people who really dislike animation simply because it's animated. I knew several friends of mine who simply refused to watch animation when I suggested them to watch great animation like Spirit. This is a good movie, you should give it a try. They specifically said, I do not want to watch animation because it's for children. People in real life, that's it. So it's the audience that killed 2D animation, not the studio. Studio was just like trying to figure out what people want. They say that people want 3D, so we're going to make more 3D animation and stop making 2D animation. And today, in the age of remake, the same thing. Lots of people on YouTube say that I do not want to watch a Disney remake, but then on TikTok and on Instagram, there are lots of people making these AI-generated images of what if they remake this classic animation using this and that they're using a certain actor and actress as a base of their AI model, and then they were really excited. There are people out there, lots of people out there, really excited to watch live action remakes, and really excited to just give a like or just give a comment or share AI generated images of their favorite animation. They just like the excitement, the short term of excitement is that what they really want. I mean, when people make polls about Shrek, do you want to have Shrek 5? Most people with their right mind will say, why? Why would you make another Shrek movie? But there are lots of people out there who are very excited, not because the story of Shrek needs a fifth movie, but because they wanted to have this some sort of an event, an online event to discuss about, to talk about. It's like it's exciting. I mean, like they said that, oh, in the previous decade we got Shrek. In 2000s we got like a lot of Shrek movies. In 2010s we got one Shrek movie, but now we need a Shrek movie for the 2020s. I mean, that's the reality that we are living right now, and we can't really change that. As I mentioned before, I stopped caring, quote unquote, in 2019 when I realized that these movies keep making money. The studios will not stop making those if people continue to support that. Same thing with 3D animation at the time. This is based on my own observation that people were the ones who killed 2D animation as a massive player in the world of cinema. Yes, we still have Ghibli animation, we still have some other studios releasing great 2D animations. For example, I do not have that many on Blu-ray and DVD, but perhaps this sample, Long Way North, is a beautiful animation. And what else? Well, many other great 2D animations, especially the anime one. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is a beautiful um, anime, and also this movie Weathering with You is another beautiful anime. Anime just hit different when you produce them in 3D style. I mean, like that latest Ghibli movie that using 3D, the Earwig and the Witch, just doesn't seem right. But that is the reality that we are living right now. I just want to comment and disagree with the notion that studios killed 2D animation. You should watch that documentary behind the scene making Spirit Talent of the Cimarron and see that Jeffrey Katzenberg really did um, excited. You can see that from the way he talked about the movie, from the way he expressed himself, talking about Spirit and the technology of Spirit. You can see that he was genuinely sure that the 3D, that traditional animation, that hand-drawn animation was still relevant. That's what studio believed in the early 2000s. That was the creative people believed in the early 2000s, that 2D was still great, but the people killed that in real life, in reality. So I don't think that it is. Well, studios did lots of terrible things. I must acknowledge that too. Studios did tons and tons of negative things today. But again, if you want to judge something, we need to be fair. I think it is not fair to say that studio single-handedly killed 2D animation, hand-drawn animation. I dare to say that it is us, me and you, we all as the audience, we did kill traditional animation as a massive player. Now it's very small. It's like a defeated um, nation. We have small clans here and there, but the huge island, the huge nation of 2D is now demolished by the 3D animation. As I mentioned before, the peak of the battle happened in 2003, but the defeat was just happened in 2004. So it's I I don't know. I just think that 2D and 3D should coexist, but the demand is not there anymore. You can go online and we'll see that, well, lots of people online think that the 2D animation is still great. They still want to watch 2D animation. Well, compare that to the people in real world. It's nothing. I mean, look at what happened with the situation with The Lion King. Like 99.999% of people online on YouTube, Instagram, even TikTok at that time, they were really negatively criticizing the remake of The Lion King. But that movie still made over $1 billion. That is the data that we cannot refute, that we cannot, I don't know, it's just the reality that we should just accept. That is the reality that we are living right now. And I made this article like in 2017 talking about these remakes and how Disney should stop that. After I watched Beauty and the Beast remake, I think, oh, this is it, you should stop. But look at online now. Lots of people still fancy Beauty and the Beast, the live action remake. It's a different thing, Like today, nearly all people are online, but in real life, things could still happen differently, and that is the case with animation, the case with AI. Lots of people now say that respect Miyazaki, but they too use the Ghibli art studio AI generated pictures. They say that let's respect artists, but they too create AI images. I do not want to go to that path being like some sort of a hypocrite, because I also use AI nowadays to create my pictures, because that is just what the world wants. I experienced that firsthand myself when I created a painting for my front cover of my novel. There's the comment saying that my cover is bland and tasteless and it's not exciting at all. It will not make people want to read the story. So I have to, ask the AI generator to create the image, and voila, that is. I feel so sad about that, but that is the reality that we are living right now. So the point of this video is that 2D animation is not dead because of studios killing it. It's because we the people, we vote with our money that we do not want to watch more 2D animation. So that's the reality. So that is all that I wanted to share with you at this very moment. This is just because my schedule will be so busy in the following week and even week after that till the rest of this month. So well, I got some chance today, this morning. I just make this video while I still can. So this is just a light discussion. I do not meant to offend anyone, and I'm not an expert or anything. It's just based on my own experience, my own observation, and my opinion, my thought process. You can have different opinion, you can have different thought process, and that is fine. You can express that yourself. And I sincerely thank you if you're still with me up until this very moment. Take care and goodbye.